I saw a show yesterday. I remember Yanis Varoufakis. I am familiar with him. He and the other guests were cheerful and well turned out. Brian Eno, Laura Pidcock, moderated by Eric Erdman. Very rah-rah. Nothing wrong with that, with some attempts at Oscar's MC humor, which fell flat. Basically, some famous people demonstrating their commitment to a cause, the cause of the working class. Pidcock, in particular, attempted no jokes, no rah-rah. She spoke very well in her Geordie accent about our corrupted versions of democracy, our representative republics, where a type runs for office and is elected to be the voice of the people. Once more, nothing wrong with this system as far as it goes, but she pointed out it doesn't go very far. It is a system that tends narcissist and elite by design. I can't really challenge the Greek model as the root of this tendency. I wasn't there, but an appraisal of Plato will find elitism in the highest. There is, as I study it, like most of us with projection, a concept of an elite created by nature and sometimes thought genetic disastrously. Talented people, or more talented than the rest, who have proved this extra ability in their successful degrees at colleges and in successful writings usually, who represent themselves to us through the media and booksellers. We select them by way of our personal interests, finding their worldview simpatico. We like their hair. We select our leaders. Thus, in a very quick, facile sense, then, our leaders will be as profound as we are or not, as developed and as rounded as we are or not. I remember being in Manhattan and London in the 80s when there was a building surge in the cities. The building sites were walled off from pedestrians about their business with plywood. Holes were cut at various heights in this wall, and men in pinstripes and bowler hats would be seen looking through them, gazing upon the work going on. We'd watch women and eventually men and eventually women in hard hats clothed against the cold or heat, moving, operating cranes, pushing wheelbarrows and stirring concrete. There are the famous photos of men having their lunch sandwiches sitting on a steel beam high above Manhattan in the 19-somethings, smiling at the camera. I imagine the people Laura Pidcock is talking about. Does she imagine the same people? Or does she mean the unemployed and poor of Newcastle, the people the current Pope's brother talked about yesterday, defending his sib against Trump's attack, the poor and the needy, to whom the Catholic in particular addresses himself? I see very little poor and needy about the working class, BTW. Larry Anderson. At 7:20 of episode 5 of the television documentary The Family on Netflix, about Christianity's influence on the US government, we are introduced to the Portland's men's group, and you will encounter Larry Anderson, a remarkable man in a remarkable group, a multiracial, Larry is black, group who are Christian and apply the stories to their own lives because they can. Some of them are veterans who can relate to David and his life, jokingly acknowledging he was a lousy family man. At one point, they interrogate the crew filming them, the ones who are making the family. I don't see any black people in your crew. Well, yes, says the bespectacled film director. We really need to work harder to improve the diversity in our industry. A diverse group, we would imagine conservative, confronts a group, a non-diverse, we know is lefty, with its shortcoming. The film crew is full of good intentions, but Larry Anderson and his group disappear at 14 minutes, unfortunately, and we return to 7 minutes roughly, and we return to the devout elite, and the weakness and silliness returns. We are back to Suits. It is fascinating. If you have a bias against men who work with their hands and wear tartan shirts and baseball hats, you will be relieved to get back to the Suits, making sense of them, ignoring Larry and his group because we never see these people. We hear about them from Yanis and Laura, but we don't see them, except through holes cut in plywood, or very short condescending clips asking their opinion about the cost of diesel to truckers. The family goes back to its scrutiny of the church in US government, to the pallid and the pences, the point being that Trump an obviously irreligious person has been co-opted by this particular kind of Christianity. It is interesting to me, my own reaction, that these people who dominate 5 episodes of quite revolutionary TV are just silly to me. What they say is vapid and silly, and I am aware that they are vital to the society I live in, while the community that piqued my interest was the men's group of Portland. Now, I'm sure there is a lot of goodness in the Yanis endeavor. I'm attuned to it, and I have given my attention to it going back to Obama. Before that, I wasn't really paying attention. Suddenly, there was Trump, and the summer was over. I didn't pay attention to Obama's presidency. I just remember a general good feeling. I still do, but I know it is a small dose of narcotic. Change did not come. The suits are still in charge, speaking silliness. Christianity, as Larry engages with it, makes sense to me. Dangerous sense, but I understand it. The weedy chaps make no sense at all. Larry comes back on at 14 minutes of part 2 of episode 5. Immediately my ears wake. He speaks about the inappropriate missionary attitude of the white church, and I can't help seeing this missionary in Yanis. He comes again at 37:32, voiceover now. To be clear, I do not agree with Larry at all about his authoritarian God, but feel its equivalence to my sense of life. I can feel how the creed serves him because he can express it. I don't feel he's lying. I feel Mike Pence is lying because his belief doesn't come from application. It's all hooey. If you like, Jesus was a carpenter who did not read and write. Larry is dealing with power. He says very little about Jesus. His belief is applied, not rhetorical. There's a great Ken Loach film called The Red and the Blue, Impressions of Two Political Conferences, autumn 1983. It covered the Conservative Party conference and the Labour conference, that one of that year. It was in England then. I was in England then. Nobody would look at the Labour conference and say these were the representatives of the downtrodden, the weak and the poor. This was a party of coal miners and bricklayers and poets, a party of Larry Andersons, religion unavailable but clearly socialists, which, by the way, does not include the demonization of the owner class. That is owner fantasy and serves them mightily and is rooted in Christianity. This film was released in 1983, The Family in 2019. I give Yanis his due. I have stopped following these kinds of demonstrations, these mutual backslappings. They do seem narcissistic, which we must accept in what we call democracy. It is endemic to it, but as I make the rounds of my go-tos, Brianna Joy Gray, Breaking Points, Owen Jones, Novara Media, Katie Halper, the Mates, I never see Larry Anderson. His voice is unheard, though we watch him fascinated through the plywood hole. And it is the voice we need to hear and come to terms with. In fact, there need be no we and them in this. They are us. Don't cringe. Just the us we have hid and would rather not talk to. My shows are full of Pharisees, a lovely lot, and they repeat themselves relentlessly and all agree, and it's losing me. There is an inappropriate missionary attitude and an ineffective one. Larry's doctrine is what it is, but it is strong and needs reckoning with. And because it is strong and applied, it can be addressed and acknowledged. For everyone else, religion is an excuse, and in Scripture we find sanction of our weaknesses and bigotries, and we call them righteous.